Hi, Bug. So today I went to the 10 management casting and that went really well. I got a callback slip, so and I'm really happy about the turnout because I went and took the train. No, I took an Uber all the way up there, and it was kind of hectic as I had woken up kind of late, and it took me about an hour and a half to get ready and just get my like personal self situated and like you know. So then I took an Uber. My Uber was like $30, $26. It was kind of expensive, but I've done this thing. Like I began to do this thing where I've set aside money each month for activities. So like Uber, fun activities, and yeah. So like it's all in that. So I just pull from that little fund, that little imaginary fund that I have written down in my budget, and I just let it be. I just let it be what it is. And I felt really good about the casting. I walked in and I felt good. And signed up. I was number 49. So that's good. I'm really happy about that. And then I just kind of walked around the store. And then I saw quite a few people I knew, actually. Well, not quite a few, but I saw two people I knew. That was not that many, but it's enough where you feel comfortable. And the person who was taking the digitals, I don't want to say her name, but I knew her. And I knew her from, well, I know for Model with Purpose, you guys on my Model with Purpose journey, and, everybody here in the industry. If someone's in the industry and, you know what I'm talking about, then hey. But if you know of the industry or you're not in the industry, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about. And even still, that's okay. Because, yeah, it's a huge industry. Like, and you never know when you'll see people that you know already. Like, or you just never know when you'll see people you know. And that's kind of reassuring and scary and crazy and weird at the same time. But yeah, I saw someone who I knew and it felt good because like she recognized me, I recognized her, and I was like, oh my god, like girl. Yeah, so I was just like surprised. I was shocked, honestly. I was like, what the WTF? And it was kind of funny because the person that did my digitals, the person she works with, not works for in terms of the management company, but the person she works with, like one of her partnership friends, she's the one who told me to like go over to 10 management, and I was just like, okay. And I'm so glad that I did because here I am, and it's just like, wow, like this is a good feeling. Yeah, like wow, this is a good feeling. It does feel good because it was nice being recognized, and like I don't know, it's reassuring. It feels kind of full circle in a sense because it's like, okay, I've been doing this work, and then here it is. I see someone who recognizes me and who like knows me, and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm on the right track, you know? So that's a good feeling. So that was a really good feeling. So we took my digitals. My brow was showing at first. It was this side too. But we took them again, and my digitals came out really nice. They came out really nice, actually. And my side profile. This is my good side. And I don't know, I felt good. And then I met the owner of 10 Management, so that was cool. I feel like I might have butchered it a little bit. I don't think I did. But, oh my god. I was kind of jittery. Actually, I wasn't jittery because I don't drink coffee, but I was nervous. Or maybe just excited. And I feel like maybe I could have talked his ear off. Or maybe not. Or I didn't really even say that much. So I don't know if I was talking too much or talking not enough. Or maybe not telling my story. Because, I didn't tell him anything about myself. Like, I have things written on paper, but I barely said anything about, like, what I'm interested in, my goals for my personal goals in the modeling industry. Like, I didn't tell him how I want to change the world or, like, create a new beauty standard or become a super top model, mega model, black model, plus size, mid size, lifetime, timeless model. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like those are things that I wish I would have probably like orally prepared for, to tell them, yeah, more about myself and things like that, and why I'd be a good candidate and things like that, or maybe even my professional experience, things like that. I think that would have been really nice for me to do. But I got called on early because, like I said, the girl that was there that I knew, she recognized me and just was like, so. But I know next time. Actually, no, there is no next time. I just know that I have a purpose, and like, I just want to spread the word and the message about my purpose. Like, I literally just want to, like, any agent, any manager, any organization, I just want to tell them what I'm all about. And that's like self-worth, self-love, acceptance, basically the building blocks of beauty. Like, I want to create a new beauty standard. And I mean, especially me being black, because not everybody's black. Not everybody's one race, white. Not everybody's the same race. Everybody's different. In my case, I'm black. So my journey with self-acceptance of my own beauty, so like my hair, my skin color, our culture, you know, like, I feel like that's something everyone can relate to. Even other white people. Because they have a thing going on in their ethnic groups as well, where like the lighter is better, like, and then the black groups, lighter is better, and they even do it, and like we're all over here doing it, and it's like, stop, like, we just accept ourselves. Like, we need to, I don't know, we need to accept ourselves, and we need to, I don't know, but I'm working on it. So that's how that went. And then after that, I took the metro and I went all the way down to the Chicago Fashion Panel at Columbia College. That was actually really good. That was at 600 North Michigan Avenue. And that was a really good panel. Marquand was on there from the Chicago Fashion Coalition. Maggie was there from the Curio. And then there was a couple other speakers that I just met. There was I forgot her name, but her Instagram is the Trevian Institute Foundation. And she is all about upcycling and trash fashion and fashion activism. And she was there. And then there was another woman there. And I'm not sure what her pronouns are, but she was there, and she just had so much information. All of them had so much information to give. It was so informative. And they really touched on like some really interesting things, especially one, the concept of money and being broke and monetization or even making money. They talked about burnout or lack of inspiration, which can be very closely related, because it's like, are you burnt out or do you lack inspiration? And then on the other side, it's like, do you like inspiration or are you burnt out? You know, it's both of these things. And it exposed me to another level of consciousness. So like Marquand from CFC, he's from the west side of Chicago. And he's the one who actually posed that question, like, are you burnt out or is there like a lack of inspiration? And to piggyback off that, I can't remember her name or even what she did. I literally can't remember because I forgot to ask after the panel. But one of the other ladies, she said that like you can't be creative without floor time. Like, you have to be bored to be creative. And in my mind, I always thought you have to be hustling to be creative, which is kind of brings it back to like, are you bored or do you lack inspiration? And it's like, I mean, are you burnt out or do you lack inspiration? And for me, I always equated burnout, like hustling, basically, in my mind. Hustling, the grind, as creativity, like being in survival mode as the best way to be creative, being under pressure to be creative, essentially. And when I think about rap music, actually, that's what I kind of think about, is like trapping. Like trapping, you know, you got to get out, you got to be creative, you got to do these little missions to get out the matrix. You got to do these little things to like get out of the state of mind or whatever. And yeah, that's kind of what I thought of. But when the other woman, when she was speaking, are I'm not sure what her pronouns are once again. So if I'm saying your pronouns wrong, I'm sorry. But the other woman, she said that you have to be bored to be creative. And you know what? That makes sense. Because when you're pulling creativity from hustle culture, from pressure, basically, like it's gonna be good, it's gonna be creative, and you're gonna make some astounding work because you're under pressure. It's survival mode, essentially. It's gonna be good work, but it's gonna be survival mode work, which means you can only put out so much. Yeah. And that blew my mind. Because you can only put out so much of it, and you can only pull from that so much before you yourself gets burnt out. So like when you're hustling has a positive connotation to it, so I don't want to use that word. But when you're in survival mode, just to make sure that's clear, when you're under pressure, when you have all these things to do, you can get creative and create this super smart under pressure work that's like, wow. But at the same time, there's these mistakes there. Like, I know for me, I do my best work under pressure, at least I think I do. But I always have mistakes that I could have not had if I had done it when I was calm, or if I did it when I was in normal mode and just not survival mode and not under pressure, not hustling, not feeling grinding, not feeling like I'm not going to make it, or like with the question mark at the end. And then I make it, of course. But, there's other ways to do it. You can only pull from that so long before actually, like I said, getting burnt out. You can only pull from hustle mode so many times. You can only pull from survival mode, under pressure mode, so many times before it stops working. So many times before you are burnt out, before that trick stops working, essentially. Because it has to be coming from like a real source, a sustainable source. And it's not sustainable to be under pressure each time you want to be creative. It's not sustainable to have to throw yourself into a stressful situation to be creative. So, yeah. And in comparison, when you're when you're bored, oh, okay. So in comparison, when you're bored, basically, you're in calm mode. You're not in survival mode. Like, because to be bored, that means it's a lack of stimulation, which means you're literally in a position where you want to do something. And that's more sustainable because you can say bored, you can say calm, whichever one it is for you. It can be contentment, because bored can be a different feeling for different people, actually. But for the most part, bored is a state of nonchalantness, calmness. And you have to be in that position to be creative. And that's also another way to do it, because that lack of pressure is when you just let your mind wander. And maybe not letting your mind wander per se, because neuroscientists say that's not good. But letting your ideas flow in a constructive way, but letting your ideas flow. And that's how you can be your most creative in a sustainable way. This way, you're not re-traumatizing yourself. Because, again, when you're under pressure and you're trying to be creative, or you're pulling your creativity from trauma, which is the pressure, which would be like the stress, which would be like the hustle, then you are re-traumatizing yourself, and it's making you not want to go back to that position. So like studying, I would literally put so much pressure on myself to study, and it only traumatized me. And after a while, I burnt out studying, and I wasn't able to output much. Because when you're burnt out, here's the other side. In addition to it not being sustainable, which means that you're going to burn out if you keep pulling from the pressure. If you keep relying on pressure to, as your motivation to like make you study, make you be creative, you're one, going to burn out, and two, you're also going to one second. you're also going to put out less work. Yeah. You're also going to put out less work because you're pulling from pressure. So the work quality is lower and you're putting out less. So like if you were overwhelmed with obligation and obligations, you're getting pulled left, right. So you can only really attend to these only so much. The fewer obligations you have, the better you'll carry out these obligations. So like if you are in a calm state of mind and you have, things to do, but if you're in a calm state of mind studying, you can get this study work done with high quality and probably get more done because you're not under pressure. And it's not even about pressure. Well, yeah, because you're not under pressure. You might think in your head you're getting more done because you're under pressure, you're zooming through. And it's like, yeah, but at the same time, you go back to study because you're studying in the morning, you got to study at night. You're studying today, you got to study tomorrow. You go back to study, and here it is. Your notes are sloppy. You don't know what page you left out on. Fine. You know what page you left out on. Fine. You know what your notes are saying. Okay, sure, we'll take that. But can you do it again? Fine, you can do it again. We go back tomorrow. Your notes aren't sloppy. You can do it again. Okay, cool. You do it again. Can you do it tomorrow? You go back, you do it tomorrow. The same thing. Notes aren't sloppy. You're under pressure. You're zooming through. You can read the handwriting. You know the last page you left out on. Can you do this every day? Like, really think about it. Can you really, hustle each and every single day? Do you even want to do that each and every single day? You probably, even if you wanted to, you probably couldn't, to be honest, because it'll lead to burnout. Because you'll be traumatizing yourself. And that's literally spiritual law. Well, psychological law, I guess, but maybe physical, I don't know, biological, but it's like sprints or like suicides. If you have suicides, how many suicides can you really run full performance before you physically cannot go full performance anymore, but if you jog, how many miles can you go full performance if you jog before you're tired? A lot further. And with you taking breaks, guess how far then? Forever. You can go forever. And if you were to walk that, and that's your full performance, how far and how long could you go? Without breaks? Probably forever. Maybe not. You probably need breaks. But even then, that's my point, is that you have to find a way that's sustainable. And are you doing this in a bored state of mind? Or are you doing this in a pressured state of mind? So to survive in this industry, you have to find something that you can do over and over and over and over and over and over and over without getting tired, I think. And that's what that one of the ladies said on the panel. And this is a separate note from the burnout versus inspiration idea, but this is like the backbone of what it means to get out of a cycle. And maybe this part is my own opinion, but yeah, I feel like this is what it means to get out of a cycle. Because, like I said, if you are because for me, I've been working on modeling and things like that, but it's or working with Model with Purpose specifically and things like that. And it's I'm burning myself out just even trying to get my mind to focus. But it's I need floor time. You need floor time to be creative. You need floor time to study. You need balance. You have to have balance. You need floor time to be bored, to be able to be creative. if you can't say you need problems to be stressed and able in order to be creative. Like, weigh those two sentences. Like, which one do you think, who do you think is going to lose out? The person who sleeps 8 hours, wakes up, goes to work, who's going to be, attentive on it, always consistent, going through, versus the person who chooses to hustle through the night, go to work? Who do you think is going to be, performing better throughout the day? That person who didn't sleep those 8 hours because they were hustling, they didn't turn off, they're not going to be better at work that day than the person who went to sleep and is fresh. And I feel like that is just such a powerful sentiment, because, like, that's what it comes down to. That same example with sleep and work, that's what it is with your studying. With studying, who do you think is going to be able to study better, deeper, longer, more continuously? The person who is doing it because they got to get out the grind. That's important. But the person who's doing it because they have to get out the grind. I got to study. Their mind is on the grind. Or the person who's okay, in a calm state of mind. Let's study. The impact of a diet can be found in eliminating processed sugars or low sugars. Eliminate candies, cookies, and cakes for oatmeal, frozen banana pops, things like that. Like, they're in a calm state of mind where they're open to even receive. Or even if you even think about it, when I think about, like, my grandma, because my grandma was immigrant. I mean, she was a migrant. She migrated from the South to, she was a migrationer? I don't know what the word is for that. But she from the South to North, and to Chicago. And there's people, in her case, she didn't have to worry too much because she had other people from the South who had moved up north before her aunt and uncle. So she had the support system. But there's other people who come from the South, or even immigrants. Migrants, honestly, and immigrants are the same thing. People from the South migrate from up north. They're really immigrants. So, yeah. And they immigrate up here, up north, from the South, from, I guess the South, because that's where most Black people come from, up north, or to the west, or to further north, in the New York and stuff, and Philadelphia, and they migrate north. And when they come here, they get these immigrants, they get put, I keep saying immigrants, these immigrants, keep getting put into these slums, which is the ghetto, the modern day ghetto. That's what ghettos are, just to make sure that's clear. Because when people think about Black Americans, they think of them as though, like, they've just had this wealth all around them. It's like, no, like, they literally migrated from down south. They migrated to the north. Yeah, they migrated to the north. And when I think about this process of being bored versus being calm, when you come from a family of, like, let's just use immigrants now. I'm going to use immigrants. If you have family who are immigrants and they come to America, then they're here in survival mode. When you have people from the South, especially, former slaves, and they come to the North, they come to America, where the freedom part is, to make it, for the American dream. And these immigrants, real life immigrants, they come to America to make it. They're in survival mode, and they get placed in shelters, in the streets, in tents, in the ghettos and housing projects in these areas that are undesirable, redlining, and they get placed in these places, and there's no economy there because nobody has money. And then they say, oh, these immigrants are taking their jobs and things like that. But it's like, no, invest in the neighborhood. And, maybe there'll be more jobs in that neighborhood. But if you go even just right now, when I think about it, if I were to go to like, I don't know, somewhere where there's not a lot of jobs, I can guarantee you it'd be in some red line areas. And I can guarantee you there wouldn't be that many grocery stores over there, despite there being lots of people there. And the grocery store can't be the only job to work at. The gas station can't be the only job to work at in these places. Because that's what perpetuates survival mode. Like I said, these immigrants, they come to America in survival mode to, survive and really thrive. But they never, sometimes, not all of them, but sometimes it never gets actualized because there's so much survival mode choices to make, like food. And some people will say these are emotional, but there's no food, there's these bills. What do you do when you have a bill? You pay it. When you're in survival mode, you don't necessarily think to like negotiate. I mean, you do if you read that, if someone taught you, if it was passed down, but the natural instinct is to pay what you owe. That's the natural instinct. And when you get so used to like, getting pulled by these bills and obligations, the creativity burns out. You burn out. You get stuck. Yeah. So the only way, and this is because we were talking about money, mind you, in this fashion panel. Well, we weren't talking about money, but we were talking about being broke, essentially. But what I equate from this, what I took from this was probably through my lens. And what I realized is that when it comes to like getting out, like it can work. And well, this is one of the reasons why hustle culture is so popularized because of rap music, I think. Or no, why rap music is so popularized is because of hustle culture. And yeah. And the reason why rap music was probably like the chosen genre to represent hustle culture is because it's literal hustle culture. They're literally in the trap, trying to get out, trying to like, they're literally hustling, literally grinding. And like, that's that. And that's also why it's called the trap too, though. Because the low key is coming from a negative source of sustainability versus like a positive source. Because you're being creative from these pressures and you're, reacting to these pressures. And the creativity matters, but I think that there's like a difference. And I don't know what the difference is or how to really explain it, but I know mentally, I guess, and emotionally, when I think about trapping versus when I think about, let's say, passion, because they're both forms of big energy or like big emotions. But when I think about those two different things, they're definitely they feel different. Because I mean, again, trapping is hustling, like actual hustle, not like the fun hustle. Because there's fun hustle which could be coming from a calm place. Because if it's passion, fun hustle is just passion, especially when it's coming from a calm place. That's really, or boredom. It's just called passion. It's called excitement. But like real trap, and the reason why it's so glorified is because it's coming from real deal, authentic hustle. Like it's not like, or even the rappers who sing it. They get these stories and they find these stories, but it's because it's coming from real pressures. Like these people in these communities, I can't all the way relate because I'm all the way on the north side of Chicago. So actually, I can relate. I take that back because as a Black woman, it's harder for me to get jobs, I feel like. So that's where I hustle. It is also very stressful for me to be in social situations or having my hair done. There's a very survival mode, even maybe just ingrained in the culture a little bit because of slavery, like people trying to escape slavery. Like you're literally trying to survive. But I said that you're literally trying to survive. But seriously, you are literally trying to survive. So maybe there's something connected with that. And then on top of trying to survive, now you have to go to the north to like make a life for yourself. And it's like, there's nothing to count for it being a slave. Like there's nothing to count for it. I'd be pissed off. But that would motivate me more to like, oh, I guess to get out. But being upset isn't a good emotion to like probably pull from either because you probably burn out and have heart disease. But yeah, what she was saying about you need floor time, calm time to get creative, then you do. Because a lot of these people, like, they need relief. This is why relief is so important. Like, you need floor time. You need to be bored to be creative. You need to be calm to be creative. You need a break to be creative. You need sustainability to be creative. That's what it comes down to is floor time to be creative. Because like, if you're constantly hustling, when will you have the time to look up and get out of your situation and not just live paycheck to paycheck and not just work job to job, babysitter to babysitter, dropping your daughter off to school to dropping your daughter off to school? Like, when will you have time for floor time so that you can be creative? And that was so powerful. And it makes me think about the way I approach my studying, my career as a model, because the person who does not sleep those 8 hours, they cannot keep up with the person who sleeps 8 hours and wakes up fresh. It's just not, they just can't. They can hustle to do it, but then guess what? When they go to sleep that night, it's gonna come back. When they go to sleep that night, they're gonna have to sleep. Versus the person who's already, sleeping, they're consistent. And this person's already having to recover. It's almost like there's no catch up to this other person. Well, there is, but for those days, those 2 days, let's say, or whatever amount of days, they're not sleeping through the night and going to work and trying to compete with this person. They just can't compete. They can't. And that's something that I really want to be root, because I want to be able to compete with myself, and I want to be able to compete in the world and win, and compete in these professions. Or really, when I say compete, is consistency, because that's what discipline and consistency, and be able to thrive. But to do that, you have to be competing with yourself in a sense where you are prepared, you're sharp, you're fresh, you're in a calm state of mind. You're not, staying up all night, hustling to get this last minute report done so that, it's finished. So that it's finished, literally. Person B, person A, whatever person B on this side, they've already been rationing out the report. They've been taking their time. They've been doing it calmly. The report has no typos. They checked it 2 days before that to turn it in. They got started the first day and made it outline and said, I'll do that later. They came back, did it later, 2 days later after they started it. They researched some things, filled it in. They said, I'm taking a break. And they kept going. Other person, they had all these different things they had to do. They didn't have enough floor time. And they pushed the project back so that they can finish it. So that they can do the same thing where they last minute finish with that project for all the other projects, because it has to get done. And I feel like this also kind of leads me to the idea of saying no and just being like, or prioritizing, as some people want to call it. But prioritizing is really just saying no, I feel like. Because, like, I mean, it's also doing things in an order too, like a certain type of order. But for the most part, prioritizing literally relies on saying no. Like, I always thought prioritizing was like, oh, okay, I need to order which one is the most important and then go from there. No, it's not what it's about. Prioritizing is, okay, what do I actually need to do and what can I skip? Like, what can I skip? What can I not do and be all right? Because there's always going to be an endless list of tasks, endless list of things you can do. Endless. But the ones that matters, the ones that actually are going to matter. Because, like, paying your bill. So, if one of the things they were talking about was like, wait. I don't remember this part, actually. I had an idea, but I don't remember the thought of what she was saying fully. But something in my own mind is that, like, and again, I'm relating it to life because, like, I don't know, we all live life. But if you have no job, if you're like broke and like no money, you're still gonna have no money no matter what you do the next day. But what you do and prioritize will determine whether you will have no money the next 3 days, the next 2 weeks, the next month, whatever it is. And it's okay to push, delay things or push things away, push things back. But if you like are broke today and your goal is to have money in, like, I don't know, a month or maybe a week, then you have to prioritize things that are going to get you money in a week or in a month. And if you want a bunch of money in X amount of time, then you have to prioritize what's going to give you a bunch of money in X amount of time. Now, the thing about that is that there's other life things. There's life, pretty much. But, like, when you're in survival mode, or basically when you're, like, just burnt out. When you're just burnt out, you're not making smart decisions. You're thinking about, like, the food that you need to eat, the bills that you have to pay, and the roof over your head, like, which is probably most important. But, like, the thing is, someone in a normal state of mind, a calm state of mind, like, they're gonna, with the same problems, or and it's with the same problems, they're gonna approach it almost like as though they're a pro. It'll be effortless. Like, they have bills they have to pay, they have all these same problems, but, like, the difference is they're gonna come from a place of mastery, like as though they've mastered this thing already. They're gonna be calm. They're gonna be bored, maybe, I don't know, but they're gonna be calm and just, like, they're gonna have the floor time, I guess. But even with all the same priorities, they're gonna be calm. And how do I describe this, guys? Oh my god. Okay, they're gonna be calm, and instead of, like, feeling burnt out and making decisions, they're gonna feel calm and make decisions. And you can already see where I'm going. When you're burnt out and making decisions, you may get the bag that, or I'm thinking about purses, but you may get the bag that's more, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something. No, bills. When you get a bill and you're burnt out, you just pay the bill. Or in your survival mode, you just pay the bill. You pay the bills because that's what comes naturally. I said this earlier. When you're in calm mode, you're not coming from a place of, oh, I don't have any money. You're coming from a place that you do have money. And people who are in calm mode, I know for a fact, people in calm mode, they will dispute bills. They'll call because they have the floor time. They'll call, or bored. but they're in a calm state of mind, they'll call and say, this says it's $15.99 or this says it's $12.59.99 and it's supposed to be $9.99 instead. They'll make time for that because if the bill doesn't look right, they're going to fix it. Person in burnout mode, they might not be in a position where they even will do that. Or person in normal mode, they might just pay it and they won't have to worry. It won't even be something to worry about because it won't matter. So, but the thing is that it's coming from different approaches. It's solving different problems. It's relieving different things in different ways, but in the same outcome. Yeah, same outcome. It's perpetuating different things. One is perpetuating more burnout and the other is perpetuating more calmness. So you have to do things that perpetuate calmness. That's one thing. It's like a healthy lifestyle, I guess. Which sounds almost like too good to be true, but that's kind of what it comes down to. Because if you're in stress mode, hustle mode, you're making pressured decisions. Remember that. You're making pressured decisions. And you never know. You could work well under pressure. Everybody thinks they do, but chances are you probably don't. And chances are most people probably don't. When there's war, people are making pressured decisions, pressured political decisions, and these decisions aren't decisions that people would make unless there was a war on their head. And when you're in a calm state of mind, when you're bored, when you have floor time, that's when you can be creative. And like I said, how this relates to work and modeling and model with purpose. Like I said yesterday, my other vlog is breaks. Because yesterday I remember I was working and I should have took a break. Today, I'm not scheduled to work on my model with purpose. I am tomorrow though, so we were getting a vlog also. But you have to take breaks. And it's not even just about the break specifically, but more specifically the floor time. You need the floor time. You need the head space to be creative and make it last. Make it sustainable. Because if you're doing all of this from survival mode, you're going to be stuck. And you're going to be tired. And your work's going to burn out. And you're going to even lose the source of your inspiration of work. Because the grind feels good. Maybe not. The grind is, the positive grind is just passion. It's calm state of mind and passion. The grind that's not good is real life environmental factors, pressure, stress, deadlines that feel like emergencies that are running your blood pressure up and keeping you stuck. And these are the things that are so important, guys. These are so important. And I'm just really grateful I went to the fashion paddle. I'm really grateful that my casting went well. I met these 3 girls there. They're really cool. Yeah, they were actually really cool. But, and then I met, who else did I see? I think I told you guys earlier about the person I recognized who was taking the digitals. She was a model. And she was the one taking the digitals, and I recognized her. And then there was another model who I recognized who was there too. But yeah, that is what I have to say. And that's my vlog and the things I learned today. Because boo to pressured responses, boo to pressured decisions, boo to desperation, boo to survival mindset, boo to stress, boo to hustle culture, boo to grinding, boo to turmoil, boo to headaches, boo to stress. And yes to calmness, and yes to headspace, and yes to softness and soft life, and yes to floor space, floor time, and yes to sustainability, and yes to consistency, and yes to passion, and yes to positive grind, to positive hustle, yes to good feels. Because that's a better place to get your dopamine from. That's what one of the panelists said. She said that's a better place to get your dopamine from. You're getting dopamine from, these negative sources. You're going to burn out. You're getting dopamine for something that's going to, perpetuate doing better work. It'll just be an infinity. It'll be feeding into itself. So I think that's inspirational. I feel like I have a few more thoughts. Let me see. Yes to undisturbedness. Yes to stillness. Yes to quiet. Yes to peace. Yes to serene. Yes to restfulness. Yes to silence. Yes to hush. Yes to soothe. Yes to lull. Yes to tranquility. Yes to quietude. And no to turbulence. Like, really think about that stuff, guys. Because, like, the hurly-burly, you want to do that every day? The hubbub? Because when you're hustling, you're doing things on the fly. You're making hasty decisions there just to fit into the race, into the speed, the thrust, the shove, the push, the impel. You're hurrying, you're scrambling. Yeah, scramble is a good word. Because you don't have to scramble to be creative. You shouldn't have to, to be creative is to be bored. You have to be bored to be creative. That is so profound. That's a whole nother consciousness for me. And when she said that, and she's white, just to clarify that, I feel like when we think about the way Black people, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's the world, I don't know. Maybe it's just white women specifically, or whatever ethnicity she is. She could be Hispanic. I don't know what she is. I'm pretty sure she might be, but white. But whatever it is, I feel like it's the scramble. Like, that's what burns you out. That's what, gets your work low quality. That's what, makes you feel stressed when you're trying to study, is that scramble. Stop scrambling. Be deliberate. Be mindful. It's the fuss that stresses you out. It's the quickness. It's the scurry. It's the scuttle. It's the expeditiousness. It's the, all that. But instead, you should be doing it from the slowness, from the inactivity, from the leisureliness. Because really, you don't have to do any of this. You can just die and just be okay. None of this is necessary. It's the scramble that stresses us out. When you're scrambling, you make hasty decisions. When you're in survival mode, when you're hustling, when you're in the thick of it, it's literally like living in the Matrix. Like, you're literally in the Matrix. You're in the rat race. But to get out the rat race is to literally be in a soft lifestyle. It's the non-hustle culture. It's being deliberate. It's going slowly. It's being bored to be creative instead of being scrambled to be creative, instead of being, or really having to be hasty to be creative, having to be in survival mode to be creative. And I keep drilling it in, but it's true. Like, you can't, stop pulling from being burnt out and having to make these hasty scrambled decisions and feeling hurried and stressed and flurried and stir crazy to be creative, to, bustle it out. But just, instead, just choose to be deliberate, to be non-rushed, to be intentional. Sleeping 8 hours so you can wake up and compete in the morning. Not sleeping 8 hours, or, staying up through 8 hours to get an edge on the competition it's not the trick that you think it is. Like, fast money so that you can have money versus slow money so that you can have money. It's not the trick that you think it is. Like, it really isn't. To be creative, you have to be bored. And to be bored, you have to have floor space. To be creative, you have to have floor space. To be bored, you have to be great. To be creative, you have to be bored. That is so iconic. Oh my God, that is so iconic. To be creative, you have to be bored. It's not to be creative, you have to be stressed. It's not to be creative, you have to be in the matrix. Resourcefulness is good, and it can make you resourceful when you're bored, honestly. But you can be resourceful at any point. But to be creative, you have to be bored. You don't have to be burnt out to be creative. You don't have to be in the matrix to be creative. You can be in... What's the opposite of a matrix? Let's search that up. Opposite of matrix. What's that, ChatGPT? If the matrix is a state of mind you're trying to exit, like scramble, hasty, hustle, burnout, rat race. Let's use one more word. Stress. Another word. What is the word? Survival mode. Survival mode. ... What word would be or describe the opposite state of mind in terms of living? Or no, opposite state of mind. We'll just leave it at that. Question mark. If the What did I just say? If the matrix represents a chaotic, stress-filled, survival-oriented state of mind, its opposite could be described by, these are perfect words. Flow. Yeah. You don't have to be bored. You don't have to, to be creative, you have to be bored. I'm trying to think about like the word math behind this. To be creative, you have to be bored. This is a sustainable way of doing it, which I think is true. And the mindset that I've gone from is to be creative. You have to be in the matrix. The matrix. But instead of the matrix, you can be in flow. To be creative, you can be in flow. What's the opposite of survival mode? What the fuck? Oh, sorry. What's the opposite of survival mode? Like what? Flow or awakening might feel directly tied to breaking out of the metaphorical matrix, because this not only implies chaos, but also stepping into a state of active fulfillment. Oh, fulfillment and conscious living. Presence, ease, safety. That's probably the opposite of survival mode, is safety. And that's what boredom is a sense of safety, because you can't feel bored. It's literally lack of stimulation. And I said that earlier. Yeah, it's lack of stimulation, and that's what you need to be safe. So when you're to be creative is, to feel safe. That's when you have the best options. Because, I don't know, with investments or trying to make money, if you're trying to make $1 million in a year and you do it in hustle mode, I guarantee you it'll probably be something illegal and you'll end up in jail. If you do it with something where you feel safe and you feel calm, I guarantee you, you're probably going to have a startup. You're probably going to have, and you're probably going to have a side hustle business, a website. You're probably going to be throwing events. You're probably more than likely going to have a really good skill. You're going to have a strategy that, like a winning strategy. So when you're doing it from a state of safety, to be creative, you have to feel safe. That actually makes more sense. You don't have to be in the matrix to be creative. You can be safe to be creative. That is crazy. That is crazy. 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 Yeah, it's that stability. Even if it's not real, it's mental stability. It's that calmness, that inner peace, that feeling of inner safety. Because when you don't feel safe on the inside, you're just feeling chaotic. And you do chaotic things because you feel chaotic on the inside. Hasty decisions, If there's a hasty decision, instead of if you're calm, when you see a hasty decision or something that, hasty decision like a bill, you're going to call up and say, this bill does not look right. Or you're just going to let it pass. It's coming to perpetuate safety. You're already in a safety mode. It's perpetuating calmness. You're doing this so it can create more ease, either in your wallet or your state of mind. But when you're in survival mode, you don't have money, you see a bill, you either just pay it or you call and you're like, I don't have the money for this. And they reject you more than likely because for whatever reason, people don't like helping people who need help. Maybe it's because they're in survival mode, so they come off more like probably desperate, I guess, or needy or in need, or aka just mean or pressured. People don't like to feel pressured, so maybe that's related to that. So when you say, I need this money, like, I don't know, I've done that before. But I don't know. And that's how love is too. Like a healthy relationship, because if you're doing it from a state of burnout, there will be no love. If you're doing it from a state of survival mode, there will be no love. But if you're doing it from a place of safety where both of you guys already feel safe, especially if both of you guys already feel content, already feel happy, already have joy, fulfillment, then the relationship will work creatively. And creative mean just like fertile, I don't know, in this sense. When I say it now, it's like the relationship will be very fruitful, if you know what I'm saying. It'll be very fruitful. It'll be very fun, lively, creative, It'll be creative in the sense where you're creating a life, you're co-creating a life together where it works because you both already feel safe. And you're not getting tired of each other because you already feel safe. You already feel calm. We'll put it that way. You already feel calm. You already feel at peace. So you're not getting tired of each other. But when you're in a state where you're doing it from survival mode, or you're doing it from stress mode, or lack of safety, or need of safety, lack of safety, in a relationship, you're going to feel insecure. Yeah, you're going to feel insecure. And I ate with that. Yeah, you're going to feel insecure. Like you have no security. But when you're secure, that's why the relationship will work. And it's hard to even think past like that. I mean, for me, it kind of is. Actually, no, it's not. It's not, to be honest. I've had a lot of healthy relationships. But when I think about feeling secure with creativity, in a sense, it's kind of far off because I always associate creativity with this need, this angst. In my head, creativity means resourcefulness. Let's put it that way. And resourcefulness is actually a positive thing because most people, when they say resourceful, they're still talking about something different. But when I think about resourcefulness, I think about like literal survival. Like that's literally what I think about is literal survival. I think of that. I don't think about resourcefulness as like, oh, we made arts and crafts with macaroni today. Like I literally think about like, I don't know, flipping money. That's what I think of. I don't know. Actually, no, forget the money part. Money's important too, like a brownie sale, things like that. That's something I did in high school, actually. I sold like candy bars and things like that for money. That's what I think of. I think about that. I think about like anything having to do with resourcefulness. That's my definition of creativity in my head. Yeah. Like, at least it used to be. I don't think I'm even able to like do that form of creativity anymore. Like I've completely burnt that version of creativity out. Like I used to be able to pull from that all the time and get so much work done in college, but it burnt me out. And I paid the cost. I really did. I paid the cost. And now I have to, like, I'm forced to live a soft life, or a life where I get my creativity from security. Because I literally can't pick up a camera, can't pick up any work, can't pick up anything unless, like, it's like studying. I literally can't even pick up my textbooks unless, like, I'm already calm. Like, I can't force myself into it anymore. Like, I literally can't. And I don't know if it's the trauma, like the mental trauma, but like I literally can't pull from that source of creativity, that source of inspiration anymore. Like it's literally just, it doesn't work even when I try. And even music, like certain music genres, like not all of them, but there's a few songs that kind of motivated me, and I can't even feed off the like emotion, the energy of that emotion anymore. To be in survival mode, to feel insecure, that's a powerful emotion. Anger, well, maybe not anger, but sadness, the feeling of betrayal, revenge, the feeling of needing to make it out. Those are really powerful emotions, big emotions, and they can fuel you and take you really far if you use it the right way. But if you don't like, turn it into something positive, it's you can only use it for so long. And that's what I did essentially. But there came a time where like I was using those emotions to, make me study. I want to be a doctor. I want to be this. I want to do it so I can be this, so I can do this. I want to study because I know everybody else around me is studying. Comparison. So that's another negative emotion, actually. But it's true. And I can only pull from that for so long because now, even in my modeling career, comparison should be like something that inspires you and pushes you forward, but it doesn't do that for me anymore. Like now, when I see something, I'm just like, okay. I'm just like, all right. I don't even go. I don't care. Like I'm just like, okay. No, I'm just like, okay. That's my reaction when I see it. I'm just like, all right. Like there's no reaction. I literally can't do anything about it. And yeah. I just feel like it's crazy. Like completely insane what I guess you can achieve with security and like maybe intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. Yeah. That's what hustle is. It's external pressures coming in and you battling them and winning against these pressures. You're battling all of them and you're trying to win. It's like the invincibility complex, I guess. Maybe we don't even feel invincible though, but it's about super strength or super out everything, I guess. I don't know. Being able to bust through windows and break through doors and strike a boulder when it comes, and the boulder being a bill or the boulder being deadlines. This is coming from a sense of invincibility, coming from a sense where, yeah, versus it coming from a place where I don't know how to even describe this stuff. Ugh. I know I keep reiterating it, but this is so shocking to me. This whole thing. Safety. You don't have to feel unsafe to get things done. Like I said with studying, I would feel unsafe, and that was literally what motivated me to secure my spot. And that's what burnt me out. I felt like I needed private tutoring, and maybe I did before like getting burnt out. I felt like I needed like one-on-one help. But now I'm realizing that was me wanting companionship, me wanting help, which is not doing it by myself, not being invincible, not busting through boulders. Safety. Yeah, I would do things because I felt unsafe, and I would do things so I could secure my spot. That's crazy to think about. Like, I literally was motivated to study only on days, and I'm thinking about like school, but I was only motivated to study on days where I felt like I had to, and I felt like I needed to. And the motivation behind that was seeing my peers do it, which is good. No, I don't. But it was seeing my peers do it, and that's what motivated me to study, because I felt like I was supposed to, wanted to keep up, trying to secure my spot. But what I was constantly vigilant of, like, my place, in studying, and how well I'm doing in class, and am I keeping up? And it was so hard for me to keep up, and I didn't make it. I did not keep up. I couldn't keep up. I literally couldn't. Like, I was tired. I was burnt out. It wasn't lack of inspiration. I wasn't bored. I was burnt out. My creative flow, my creative energy, my creative juice for trying to get the work done, get the work done, get the work done, get the work done, get the work done. It was gone. No more juice. And that was my magic for a long time. And even afterwards, after burning out, I would still try to use that magic to, like, create more and do more. But my body wouldn't let me. My art wouldn't speak to it. It wouldn't work. I was burnt out. And I was constantly vigilant, always looking over my shoulder to see if I was keeping up, if I was gonna make it. That was my fear, is that I wouldn't make it. And you know what happened? I didn't make it. I was tired. I didn't make it. I was so tired. And I ended up taking like a medical withdrawal because I was burnt out. And I didn't feel secure. I wasn't secure spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. I was in the air. I was floating. Really scrambled. Doing these tricks to fool myself into studying. Doing these tricks to fool myself into working hard. Spending money I didn't have so that I would work hard. Didn't work. Doing all these things to motivate me to do what I needed to do. But I was tired. I was like, it was game over. And that really hurt me. I was injured. It caused me to die. And then I became reborn. My life was so stress-filled, and I didn't even realize it. It was just like a normal state of being, like my whole life. It was a normal state of being for me to feel stressed and loving the chaotic energy and being in a survival mode state. Like I said, am I gonna make it? Am I keeping up? 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 But these standards, Like, I couldn't keep up. And it's nothing wrong with standards, I realize. But it's how we teach our girls, our black girls, our black men, our children, our generations, black, white, to keep up. We teach them to keep up with the Joneses, to check if they're, to be hyper vigilant if they're keeping up with the rest of society. That's not how to raise kids, strong-willed kids, sustainable lives, happy lives. That's not how you do that. Constantly wondering if you're keeping up, constantly wondering if you're keeping up with the bills, keeping up with the kids, keeping up with everything. That's hypervigilance. I was always worried, and I couldn't recognize it. And even now, looking back, it's still hard to recognize, but I was always thinking about, am I keeping up with my industry? Am I keeping up with school? Am I keeping up with the Black Student Council? Am I keeping up with all these different things? I was trying to juggle too much. And I was worried about keeping up with all of them. And I'm still the same way because I love multitasking. And I'm also a potential. I think that's the word. I'm multifaceted. And I feel like it got to a point where I really I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up with anything. True. But no, I'm kidding. But seriously, I couldn't keep up. So my question is, if to be creative, you have to be bored. If you have to be bored to be creative, then where does keeping up come into the equation? Is that even a part of the equation? Or is that an afterthought? Or better question, or forget this keeping up, where does keeping up come into the equation? But how about, what does safety come into the equation? Because we wouldn't worry about keeping up if our spot was already secured. I would do so much work to keep up to make sure my spot was secured. But if your spot's already secured, then you don't have to worry about keeping up. So if we're working jobs and we're constantly trying to keep up with these deadlines, we're just going to be in scramble mode. And we're making work that is scramble mode work, hasty work. It can still be really good, but this is why people burn out. But if you weren't forever workers, people who aren't retiring at 65, but maybe working forever if they're able to, or if they want to, and their spot is secured. So if there's these deadlines, I don't know, do we forget about deadlines? Or maybe it's not that, but is the threat of not firing someone no longer a thing in safety hustle when your spot is secured already, so that you can have more creativity, creative control, I guess? Yeah. Let's ask ChatGPT. Where does keeping up come to the equation? Keeping up is the central driver of the matrix mindset. Okay. It reflects the pressure to constantly meet external expectations whether societal, professional, or personal, is tied to the survival mode in hustle culture because it demands relentless comparison, striving, and performing. Yeah, performance. That is such a good word. Often at the cost of inner peace and well being. Here's how keeping up fits in. 1. The rat race. Keeping up with peers, trends, and societal benchmarks creates stress and perpetuates the cycle of burnout. External validation, it prioritizes what others think over internal fulfillment, making individuals feel stuck in a loop of proving their worth. Fear of falling behind. The need to keep up is often fueled by the fear of being left out, deemed irrelevant, or judged as inadequate. Erosion of safety. When you're constantly trying to keep up, you rarely feel truly safe or grounded. It disrupts the sense of security and self-acceptance. In contrast, the opposite state, whether described as safety, freedom, or balance, breaks free from the keeping up mentality. It allows you to focus on your own pace, values, and needs, replacing comparisons with contentment and external pressures with inner alignment. Yeah, that's true because, like I said, I would study because I was wondering if I was keeping up comparing, if I was keeping up with other students instead of doing it because I know that I need to study and I want to study. And in order for me to get good at this stuff, I gotta study, you know? It wasn't coming from the internal. And then external pressures with inner alignment. So, like, instead of deadlines, because I had a lot, there's so many deadlines in college, oh my God. Instead of that, people who are, well, deadlines, they may always exist because I feel like deadlines are actually good for certain things. But deadlines or certain external pressures are always going to exist. So you have to get used to solving the problems. That's another thing that one of the panelists said. But the thing is that it has to be done with inner alignment. Like the bill thing. Like if the bill didn't look right, they went ahead and just called it. Or they just said, forget it. And they just paid it without caring. Versus feeling like you have to pay it and you just, boom, throw your money at them because they're like, you know, again, the natural thing to do is pay what you owe. Not negotiate, not problem solve, not maybe problems. I mean, that would be the problem solved. But the natural way to problem solve is that's the natural way people problem solve. And it's not to negotiate first. For me, I feel like I've always been a negotiator where I talk things out. And then I stopped because, you know, somebody told me, like, why does everything have to be a negotiation? And I really internalized that. And I never even realized I was doing it. For me, I was trying to I was being real. I was being myself. Yeah. But that's not the natural. I had to get that from my grandma. But here's the other thing. When you're in a state of safety, I also think it's easy to see red flags too. Because when you're like in a state of like desperation or just scramble or hasteness, survival mode, the matrix, you can't really see the red flags, literally. But when you're in a state of safety, of like high vibes or freedom, balance, you can follow your own values and the things that feel authentic or inner, like inside with you, aligned. You can live a lifestyle that feels more aligned when you're in a safety mode, even if you have $0, because you're carefree. That's part of it. And not carefree like carefree, but carefree in the sense where it's like you don't have to worry. You feel secure. That's really what it comes down to. You feel safe. And even with $0 in your account. Yeah. But yeah, with the projects, we always have deadlines. But the person who gives themselves floor space and time is that they create their own pace through that. Is by creating floor space. They do it the first day. 2 days later, they pick it back up, do something else. Maybe an hour later, they do something else. The next morning, they hear something on the news, they could become inspired, they just write it down. They keep adding to it. They're doing it at their own pace versus doing it at the external pressure. They do it with their inner alignment. Yeah, that really is powerful. Yeah, but anyways, today was a really good day. Alright, vlog. I'm going to be signing out. Bye. Bye, vlog. Bye. Bye, vlog.